Hey everybody, welcome back to Active Self Protection Extra. I am finally getting around to testing these Seismic 9mm rounds. This is the exact opposite of what a lot of people are doing. You know, we've seen plenty of ammo makers say they want whiz bang, light for caliber, fast moving, shoots really cool in gel, but what does it do? These are just the opposite. 185 grain 9mm round. This is, instead of being plus P, they call this plus M, increased mass. So 185 grain projectile in 9mm. It's kind of like having 40 mass in a 9mm. So let's try them out. I have no idea how they're going to work. Big Tex Outdoors has holsters, accessories, optics, and other parts that you need as a self-defender. I'm one of his customers and I recommend him highly. Check out the page on our website with our favorite deals. So straight up, these have been sitting on my shelf for forever. I actually met the guy that invented these, who is a scientist, at SHOT Show in 2019. So these have actually been sitting around a while. He sent me some, took him forever to get them to me, and then I just haven't had a chance to do anything with them. So I think number one, kind of interesting just for the package, they send it instead of 20 with 21. So then that way you get a fancy, you can see it, which is just marketing, right? Marketing matters though. So let's just kind of take a look here and pop this projectile and see kind of what it's about. So a couple things you can see here. Number one, it is a very interesting case. It's a segmented case, and from what they say, it has a whole lot better you know, kind of lubricity than regular brass does. So it'll function in your firearm probably better. Number two, it is a different kind of projectile. It's not a lead projectile. It doesn't say what it's made out of, but clearly that's not a lead projectile. It is a jacketed hollow point. I mean, 185 grains is super heavy. So they say this is ideal for suppressors. So I'm going to guess, again, in a 9mm case at NATO spec pressures, you're probably not pushing this bullet at supersonic velocities. So let's shoot a few of them, see if it cycles in my gun pretty well, see what it looks like on paper in terms of accuracy, and then shoot some gel with it. Now again, just mea culpa here, so you know what's going on. Again, I don't have any relationship with this company whatsoever. They did send me the ammo. It's been sitting on my shelf for a year, and when my wife and I just moved in May, I was like, oh, I forgot that exists there. Maybe we should go shoot some of it. So here we are. Okay, so that one fed fine. Let's just see. I want to get a feel for kind of how it feels, what it's looking like. I'm just going to put some A-zone shots in here and just get a feel for where it's going to kind of hit 7 yards. Okay. All right, so definitely cycled okay. So cases look fine. Look like they expanded okay. I'll say recoil felt sharp. It felt like it's loaded to plus P, loaded to NATO specs. So it's not a soft shooting round by any stretch of the imagination. Let's take a look at what kind of holes it made. Of course, I shot 3 of them in the same hole, so that's not helpful. Now, something interesting, this is just a kind of a marker here, is you see that's like a full metal jacket round, and you can see that there's kind of some, you know, wax ring around it, and it'll kind of bloom just a little bit. That one right there you can see really well. Whereas these guys here, you can see punch a really nice hole in there, and it's a very tight hole. So that's kind of an indicator. It's just one indicator, but it's an indicator of a bullet that is spinning correctly, accurately, and is true in flight. So in other words, it's like a football where the quarterback throws a good spiral instead of kind of a wobbler or a duck. Good stuff. You know what time it is, kids. It's Jello time. Let's put a couple of these into the ballistics gel. I am actually really interested to see how these do. Very heavy for caliber. Again, I had good stout recoil, so I'm just guessing at this point that it's loaded to NATO spec. The box says NATO spec, so what, you know, kind of what we would call a 9mm plus P. So I'm guessing the projectile is moving along pretty good. We'll see how it does. Now, one of the things that you'll notice here is that gel block is a kind of brownish, and that's not because it's calibrated ordnance gel. It is synthetic gel. It's been remolded, those kinds of things. So again, is this a super scientific test? The answer is no. But I want to see just kind of how the projectile does in terms of, we've done a bunch in this environment with HSTs and gold dots and those kinds of things, so we can get kind of an idea how this one is comparatively. All right, we're just going to shoot 2. We're from about 5 yards, give or take. I'm going to see if I can get there, stay true to it. There's one. Let's get the second one. All right. Oh, boy, here we go. We got problems. Oh, we got trouble. Right here in River City. So the first thing that you can see, come on in, is so you can see here that it penetrated to probably about 13, 14 inches and then shrinks back. We see that in gel all the time. They penetrate into a certain place and then kind of work their way back. And I would say here that our spot where we set is probably around 12 to 13 inches. But that's a problem. This is calibrated. This isn't calibrated gel. Rather, this is synthetic gel, and because of that, the synthetic gel just it tends to penetrate further. So the fact of the matter is, I'm going to guess these guys would under penetrate on the FBI spec gel. So let's cut one out of there and see what it looks like. I actually like the expansion quite a bit. So I don't have calipers on me, but that very much looks like the kind of expansion or the kind of projectile that we would expect out of a gold dot or those things. Probably these guys are bent down because that's where I pushed it with the knife, would be my guess. But and you can see how long this projectile is. So you can see it's much longer than a standard 9mm defensive hollow point projectile. And that's where the extra weight comes from, is that it's a lot longer in a different material. And so the expansion looks really great. The penetration doesn't. And so is something like this, based on this test alone, going to displace my HSTs? No, it's just not. Because again, there's a reason the FBI chose that 12 to 18 inches, but 15 to 18 is absolutely ideal. And when you have a round like either Spiel Gold Dots or HSTs that meet that standard, that expand incredibly and get that 15 to 18 inches of penetration, I don't know why you would use something like this. So on the first couple of rounds, I do think if you look in here, John, and I want to show that, if you see here, you've got this is a permanent wounding channel that is so much bigger. Remember we did the RIP rounds here, and you see those real thin, real small FMJ style permanent wound channels. Here you see a much larger wounding channel, and so that's what we want to see. So this is, again, this part is very good. The problem is they didn't penetrate far enough. And so based off that right there, I mean, we'd have to do some more testing and those kinds of things. They run fine in the gun. They have some benefits, but they under-penetrated, and so that's definitely not going to get me off the defensive ammo that I'm using right now. So, sorry guys, sometimes in these gear reviews we find some things out, and today we found out not going to have to test this one any further, and I don't trust it with my life.